Recently, Jim Cramer announced a list of 10 stocks he felt was poised to rebound in 2023. To my surprise, three stocks that made it to the list were the cruise liners. Typically, what Jim says, retail investors do the opposite. So I figured I would entertain Jim and look at these three stocks. They are Carnival, Norwegian, and Royal Caribbean. So let's start off with Royal Caribbean. We're going to do a top-down analysis, starting with the monthly, going down to the weekly, and then the daily. So again, this is Carnival on the monthly. Alright, so this November 22 is not the all-time lows. Just trying to see if I see anything here. Okay. So we see the February candle testing the 13 EMA. And there's really nothing to stop price from moving higher until we get to we'll say the $17 level. Okay, let's go down to the weekly chart. Okay, so now what you can see is what appears to be a reverse head and shoulder. You have what's representing the head, the left shoulder, the right shoulder. I also see negative divergence. Right, you have a low here. But if you look at the RSI, RSI is moving higher. A low here, high low here, high low here. Let's go down to the daily chart. Okay. So we have price today attempted to fill the gap. Did not quite make it. I think this area here is going to serve as resistance. Because of all the trading that took place in this area here. We'll call that 1050. So it's not true resistance, but again, we had a lot of trading here So if price was to pull back to this area, it's going to have a hard time just slicing right through it to continue to the downside. So current price is 11.53. Let's go over to the right hand side of the chart. You have a drop base drop retest. So I'm going to say this area at 1350 has been used up. And on the monthly chart, I had mentioned that $17 was going to be a somewhat of a target. And I like this area. Which we're going to call daily sellers. At the 1775 level. So I'm just going to get rid of this 17 here. Get rid of this line here. So can Carnival corporations move higher? It can. I'm going to say upside is going to be at the $17, $18 level. It's going to have a hard time getting through this patch of trading that took place between $13.50 and $15. We have a reverse head and shoulder. We have bullish divergence. We also have an uptrend line. So can prices move higher? Most certainly. I would say the first test is going to be right here at the we'll say 1350. As the first real test. But yes, prices can move as high as the 17, 18 level. Okay, let's look at Norwegian. I'm going to start with the monthly chart. Now just looking at the monthly chart, this chart looks a bit more broken. We had the lows, the pivot, the March to 2020, which was the pandemic. Okay. Just going to draw a trend line to see where that lines up. Okay. So November of last year, price breached the downward trend line, retested it, closed below it, breached it again. So usually when price breaches the trend line, it does test it. Okay, let's go down to the weekly chart. To me, all this is sideways price action. Potentially you have a base forming for a move higher. Just looking at the candles formation, I'm going to just mark that area at the 2250 level because I want to look at it on the daily chart. I'm going to mark this area here as well because I want to see what it looks like on the daily chart. Okay. So we had a drop in price, some basing where the buyers and sellers were duking it out for position, and then we had a drop. But if I had to look at where the drop started, it started at the 22 level and eventually broke this pivot low. I like this. Okay, so gonna take that off my chart here. I like that area. We had a drop, base drop, retest several times, so this area is fairly strong. We'll say at the $24 level, so we're going to have daily sellers at $24. So we have this pivot high that price needs to close above. On January 24th, price came up to the same level but could not close above and then dropped. So the first test, we need to see price get above, I'm going to say $19. And when I mean above, it needs to close above in order to push higher. Second test, I'm going to say is this $20 level, but I'm not going to mark it. Just looking down. So can Norwegian move higher? It certainly can. Again, as you can see, the range bound. Sideways price action since May of last year. But if we can get a breakout and a close above 19, we could move higher to the $24 level. Okay, let's look at the last cruise line stock, which is Royal Caribbean. Again, we're going to start from the monthly chart. I like this area already at the 120. I'll just mark it. So April 2020 was not the low. But I like this area down here. say that's $14 monthly buyers, but that's price is not going to get there anytime soon. Just wanted to mark that off. So May of last year we had a drop in price and what appears to be somewhat of a V reversal, and these long range extended candles allow price to move higher without any major pullbacks. But now price is approaching all this trading that took place in the $75 to $100 range, in which price is going to have a difficult time getting through. Let's go to the weekly chart. And what I see on the weekly chart, we have a rally in price, we have some basing, and then another rally out. So we're going to mark that as weekly buyers at $62. I'm looking at this $80 range price level. So let's go down to the daily chart. This is a nice level as well. This is the $68 level. So you can see price rally to the $62 level. We had some sideways action, and then we had a breakout, and then we had some basing, and then another breakout. Price did not fill the gap. Did not fill the gap here either. So this area here, I would say, would classify as daily sellers. This is the 112 level, but price has to deal with getting through all this nastiness. I'm going to go down to the 4-hour level just so I can dissect this area a bit more. Again, current price is at 73.52. I like this area here, 97.50, but again, price has to get through this stuff here. However, Royal has been bullish since January 4th. Can it move higher? It can. It's going to be very tough. If we go back to the weekly chart, see that it's not going to be an easy road higher. All these wicks here represent sellers. So Norwegian would be a no touch, or at least let's see if price can pull back to potentially move higher. So Jim appears to be correct. These three cruise ship stocks can move higher from a technical analysis standpoint, from a fundamental analysis standpoint. Again, if we are going into a recession, the movement higher is going to be short-lived. Until next time.